Turn the volume up.
Back up, hold up.
There's not enough glitter.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be reviewing the new Kid Cudi album, Man on the Moon 3, The Chosen, which is Kid Cudi's 7th studio album, and this is the final installment in the Man on the Moon series, or trilogy. I'm super excited about this. I've literally just got out of the shower. I've been dying to listen to it all morning. The only song I have listened to is the Pop Smoke song, and it bangs. But let's do this album right now because I'm excited. It's been 10 years since the last Man on the Moon, The Legend of Mr. Rager, and we've all been itching to hear the finale. So, without further ado, I even got a drink at 10:15 in the morning. It is on. It is Kid Cudi Day. Let's do this shit. So the album is split up into 4 acts. The first one being Return to Madness. Let's go into it. There's Kid Cudi. Woo! Let's send shiver up my spine. Right, we're on tequila shots now. Let's do this. I've got goosebumps. Ah!
Don't think I'm not sorry.
So the first proper song, which is Tequila Shots, gets followed on from Beautiful Trip, which is more of an intro. It's a really great start to the album. You get all these like galactic sounds. It feels very much, you know, Man on the Moon. It feels like we're in space floating about. I also noticed a few times where it was like Kid Cudi was like saying like, hey, hey, and it was like very reminiscent of like Man on the Moon 1 or 2. Just like some signature sounds that are from those 2 albums I picked out in this already, which I'm loving. I love the rhythm in this one. Oh god, I'm loving this album already. This song, great. You've got all these like spacey reverbed synths going on in the background, and it's a bit more upbeat than the other one. The flow on this, I'm in such a great mood right now. It's Kid Cudi Day! Oh, those 808s. Woo! Oh. Wow. So, it's just a great day for a Kid Cudi fan right now. This album has not disappointed so far. We're in She Knows This. The song title actually reminded me of a J. Cole song called She Knows. I also could hear like, I don't know if it was just, you know, the way, the style, maybe Jaden's copied Kid Cudi. I know it's an influences, but there was a few times it was like, hey, or something like that. It sounded very much like Jaden Smith. And that flow switch up halfway through the song, oh my days, what a great flip.
Ooh, I need those fucking vibes.
So Dive is the final song in the first act, Return to Madness. It's probably my least favourite of the act. Not saying it's a bad song, because it's not. And I did feel like the song's called Dive, and I did feel at one point where all the sounds and instrumentals and synths were all kind of building up, or like almost, well, it's not even building up, kind of almost draining down into what felt like was diving into like Kid Cudi's world. Let's get on to Act 2, which is The Rager, The Menace.
This is a trip that I gotta do alone. Here we are, no shit.
So Damaged, I feel like we might be getting like a tonal shift maybe with each act, because this sounded a bit more like we're preparing into more maybe of a bop vibe. I also couldn't help but notice it sounded there was quite a lot of Travis Scott sounds in there, like yeah, like all the ad-libs and stuff. And I do remember reading something that Kid Cudi said that Travis Scott maybe helped talk him into doing this album, or something around those lines, or helped motivate, or some sort of inspiration. This song definitely sounds very Travis Scott. Whoa. There's a definite tonal shift here in terms of the sound, because it sounds way more, we've got these like trap drums, we've got that like 808 that kind of comes in like a buzzsaw. It's like, and it's good because it's kind of like bringing in what is current at the minute, which is like, you know, drill and trap, and it works very nicely. He's like blended it into the Cudi style and loving it. Woo! know who it is.
Look.
Look.
Show up.
Oof.
Smoke, big smoke, clipping.
Turn the volume up.
Back up, roll up. Now I'm running. We're supreme. See what I mean?
Yeah.
We in the team. See what I mean?
Well, we all know that that song is gonna be a fucking banger for the rest of next year. What a tune. Pop Smoke, rest in peace your soul. That was fucking sick. Skepta comes in, slays. I'm sweating. Fucking what a track. Kid Cudi. I did not expect that from this album, I'm not gonna lie. Mr. Solo Dolo Part 3.
Yeah, I take it down. Nobody. Yeah, I take it down. Nobody.
So Mr. Solo Dolo Part 3. It might not be my favourite Mr. Solo Dolo. I might have to listen to the other Solo Dolos. But this song is very much like, it's very much classic Cudi. You got these soothing lyrics and everything about it's just, you know, signature Cudi. That was the end to Act 2, The Rage of the Menace, and what an act it's been. Let's get on to the next act, which is Act 3, Heart of Rose Gold. We've definitely gone into a different act, because you can tell by the sound. But everything about this is just like, what I love about Kid Cudi is that you listen to it, this new album in particular, and it just reminds me of old albums, like different parts of like different albums coming from different like eras, and his vibrato and his voice just fills the songs. Like, you know, some rappers and singers or whatever lend a lot in production, but Kid Cudi's vocals pretty much can make a dull track sound interesting. I like these guitar strings.
Little sad boy, little sad boy, little sad boy, little sad boy.
Very sudden change of tone right now, did not expect that. I really love this song. Elsa's Baby Boy, Flashback. What a great song. I didn't expect it at all because the tone of the album was just not going that way. And then you got these guitar strings coming in. I was like, oh, I like this. And then everything about it, we had this kind of country, if I say it, country vibe. And then it was reminding me a little bit of Speeding Bullet to Heaven or even Wizard. Beautiful song. Elsa's Baby Boy. It's probably one of my favorites on the album so far. Really love it. It gave me a little bit emotional actually. September 16th, like I kind of got lost in it a little bit, like in a good way, to the point where I was just like floating around, and it almost felt like an instrumental, like the humming, just takes you to that place that I want to be. The Void, I think this is the longest song on the album so far, and maybe the longest in the album, clocking in about 5 minutes and 25 seconds. It was quite an experience, this one, and I'm pretty sure this one's produced by Mike Dean and Dr. Genius. It felt like kind of like a soundtrack to a movie. Circles, dreams, beautiful voice, beautiful. So the final song to Act 3, Heart of Rose Gold, another beautiful song. I'd never heard of Phoebe Bridgers before, but I'm glad I have because she's a beautiful singer, and I hope to hear her more in the future. So yeah, a great end to the Act 3. Next act is Act 4, Powers. And let's see where this takes us. Whether it will be like Act 2, because it feels like we've gone in like Act 1, a bit more slower, then Act 2, bit of a bop. Act 3, a bit more slower. Is Act 4 going to be a bit of a bop? The Pale Moonlight, as I predicted, we've kind of changed into this more upbeat, and it's more of rap than it is like singing and humming, and you know, it's a nice change of tone, and I thought it would happen that because the name gives it away a little bit, like Powers, like it's very like, it's got a different context than say Heart of Rose Gold. Do you know what? Initially, going into Rockstar Nights, I was a little bit skeptical and nervous because Trippie Redd is featured in it. And I was like, Trippie Redd, whatever you may think, usually if he's on a feature, it's a shit song. So, I was pleasantly surprised when his feature was actually quite good. And the song was great anyway. I mean, Kid Cudi's flow on this and verse was just like top notch. That classic Cudi where he like spits bars like, woo, 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 woo. It's not been a single song here that I've not liked yet.
Do it all day for the kiddies. Real life dreamers in the songs. This is just a
Really love the production on For the Kids. It's very trippy and like liquidy and spacey and everything. Like, the whole album's just got this galactic and universal kind of floating through voids and black holes, and you know, it's great. Anyway, we've got the last song now. Sad to hear this album end. Let's do it.
hey. The water steady spinning and I'm in the pools. My nigga shit is baby. Keep on working hard, never let it. Ready. How I am, I'm rocking steady, Betty. Tell them how you seen the fuck.
So Lord I Know, the final song on the album, the end of Act 4, the powers. I loved it. The flow and the rap at the time where, you know, when he just does that really fast, like, I don't know, I'm not even going to try and do it because I just can't rap. But, yeah, it was great. And the synths and the build-up at the end, like crescendo, all great. And then what's interesting is at the end, there's a little voice that goes, "To be continued." So does this mean there's going to be another Man on the Moon? Who knows? Maybe it's the follow-up Intergalactic album that comes out next year, supposedly. Maybe that's to be continued. I'd kind of like Man on the Moon 3 to be like the final, because trilogies tend to be like, you know, good. You got beginning, middle, and end. So who knows? Kid Cudi, at the end of the day, he always releases great music, and I'm always going to be there for it. Now, what are my favourite songs on the album? At the moment, of first listen, it's hard to pin favourite songs, but for sure, Show Out with Pop Smoke and Skepta. Another Day, Elsies Baby Boy, The Void, and Loving Me. Overall, this album, do you know what? It might be one of my favourites now of Kid Cudi's. Like, maybe even like one of my favourite albums of the last year for sure. Everything about it was just like a journey. And out of the Man on the Moon trilogy, this one has like, you know, it's evolved with the times. So we've got elements of trap in there, and a little bit of like trap drill. Everything kind of blending with like what's going on currently with music. But also keeping Kid Cudi's signature style that he, you know, presented in Man on the Moon. Like, the last album was 10 years ago. Like, it's been so long now, but it's still managed to feel in the same sequel. Musically, the album's theme finds Cudi fight against his evil alter ego, Mr. Rager, in hopes to win back his peace and happiness. As with the previous two installments, the album is split into 4 acts. The production on this album was great. It's handled by Kid Cudi himself, Dr. Genius, Mike Dean, Plain Pat, Amelie Haney, and all of these contributed to the last 2 installments of Man on the Moon. So it's great to see them come back because they're the people that brought the sound to Man on the Moon. And clearly, you know, the sound has travelled across to Man on the Moon 3. Which was my favourite act out of the album? Now, it depends, because it depends on your mood. Like, if I was in the mood for, like, straight up, like, want to be, like, bopping, getting some drinks down me, you know, getting a bit wild, then I'd probably say Act 2, The Rage of the Menace, is my favourite. But if I'm more into, like, you know, in my feelings and want to chill and just want to relax, then I'd probably say Heart of Rose Gold. It's got more, like, the serenade songs and bit more like chill out. And how does this album hold up against the last Kid Cudi albums? Now, you know, Kid Cudi's discography is, you know, vast, and there's plenty there for all types of like moods, and you know, even Kid Cudi like moods as he's grown, and the sides that's, you know, like depression, etc. It's kind of like Kanye West. Like, you know, every album has its time and purpose, and you know, like, Kid Cudi has his signature humming and like, he's almost like the master of just like the voice and how he portrays and, you know, warps, and it bodies the songs that he's in, so it almost acts as an instrument in itself. And I guess the voice is an instrument. Like I said earlier, like a song that could feel really like on its own, if it was just a normal rapper was on it, could feel quite flat in just a normal rap song. But when Cudi comes on it, you know it's a Kid Cudi song. It's got this sound, the voice just carries the song. It's beautiful, it really is beautiful. Now I've got to mention the album cover because the album cover is beautiful. You've got like, it kind of reminds me of the first album cover, which is like, you know, his head and it's split half and it's like the moon, which we've got elements of this in this cover. So we've got the eyes, the moon, and then you got like the Rager like falling through space. Everything's really galactic and trippy, and it was actually all hand painted by an artist who did 70 Shakes' last album cover, which is the like Space Girl helmet, which is one of my favorite albums of the last couple of years as well. Now, what am I gonna rate this album? So, I did not, at one point in this album, feel bored, didn't enjoy it, felt like anything was too weak. You know, like there were weaker songs, but in the grand scheme of the album, and compared to other albums that have been released in the last year, the songs held up really well. There's a story, you know, there's Act 1, 2, 3, 4. Not many people do that with their albums. It's just a collection of songs. And I love Cudi, so maybe this might be a bit biased, but I am gonna do this. It is coming. I am gonna do it. It's happening. The first on this channel. I have to do it. I have to do it. It's a 10 out of 10. Oh! Easily one of my favorite albums of this year, next to The Weeknd After Hours, which I would also give a 10 out of 10 because that album deserves a fucking Grammy, and it didn't even get a Grammy nomination. I'm not even gonna go there! Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to subscribe, leave a comment on what you thought of the album, and I'll see you in the next video. Anyway guys, peace. Gotta put that Pop Smoke song on again, boy!